husband pushed his 7-month pregnant wife into a freezing river. She couldn't swim. She went under the water. He stood there watching. Then he turned and walked away, like she was already dead. But under the water, where no one could see, something moved. A hand. Weak. Shaking. Still alive. What he didn't know was that the woman he left to die wasn't alone. And the man who pulled her out of that river was the one person he should have feared the most. Because when Lily was found alive, his nightmare had just begun. Hello friends, welcome to our story. Before we start, please like this video and subscribe. Also, tell us in the comments where you're watching from. New York, Canada, maybe South Africa, or Jamaica. We want to know. The city lights blurred as I fell. Time stretched. The wind tore through me, cold and sharp. My hands went to my belly. My baby, just 7 months. Then, the river swallowed me whole. The water was freezing. Dark. Alive. It dragged me under instantly. I fought. Flailing, kicking, forcing myself up. My head broke the surface. I gasped, choked, dragged in air that burned. I turned. The railing above. Adrian, standing there, watching. For a second I thought he'll help me. Then he laughed. Soft. Cold. And everything shattered. The dinner. His smile. His hand in mine. Everything was a lie. 6 years of marriage gone. He asked if I could swim. I said no. He knew. And he still pushed me. He wanted me dead. The river pulled me under again. Water filled my mouth. My chest burned. I thrashed, but my body betrayed me. My teeth chattered. Panic clawed at my chest. Something caught my leg. I jerked, kicked, twisted. Nothing. I was stuck. The current dragged me down. I was going to die. A contraction hit. I cried out, clutching my belly. My baby kicked, sharp, frantic. I pushed harder, fought harder. My head broke the surface for a second. Air, hope, then the river dragged me under again. I screamed into the water, clawed at nothing, fought like something wild. But I was losing. My limbs weakened. My body turned heavy. The cold sank deeper, wrapping around my chest, my bones, my thoughts. My breath came in broken gasps. My baby kicked again, urging me, begging me, but I couldn't fight anymore. I tried to move. I couldn't. I was so tired, so cold. The darkness crept in, heavy and slow. My body stopped responding. My vision blurred. I tried to move, nothing. My eyes closed. And then darkness. The beeping pulled her back. Slow, steady, close. Then voices. Distant, like they were coming from somewhere far away. How long has she been out? A deep voice asked. She's been out for 18 hours. 18 hours? The words echoed faintly in her mind. Her fingers twitched weakly. Something tugged at her hand. A drip line fixed into her vein. Cold fluid slid into her body. Her lashes fluttered. Then slowly, painfully, Lily forced her eyes open. She was alive. A small sound escaped her throat as her hand moved to her belly. My baby. Doctor, she's awake. A deeper voice cut through quickly. Footsteps approached. Your baby is okay, Mrs. Cole, the doctor said gently. Both of you are okay. Mr. Vance found you on time and brought you here. Vance? Michael Vance? Adrian's rival. His biggest enemy. Her gaze shifted to him. Why did it have to be him, of all people? Do you remember what happened to you, Mrs. Cole? The second man, a detective, asked. Lily's fingers curled slightly into the sheets. The bridge. The cold wind. Adrian's hand in hers. The way he smiled at dinner like he still loved her. The way he laughed when she hit the water. My husband pushed me. Her voice came out rough. Broken. Like something had scraped the inside of her throat raw. The detective pulled out a small notebook and wrote something down. Can you tell me what really happened, Mrs. Cole? From the beginning. Lily swallowed. We went to dinner. Adrian suggested it. He said he wanted things to be better between us. Even saying it out loud felt humiliating now. I believed him. Her fingers tightened faintly over the sheets. After dinner, he suggested a walk. He took me to the bridge. She paused, swallowed. He held my hand as we walked on it. Then he suddenly stopped walking. Her breath hitched, and he pushed me over the railing. He pushed you? The detective asked, writing again. Are you sure it's not an accident? Lily's head turned slightly as the memories flooded in. Memories of the things she ignored. Things she'd pretended were normal. It started with a slap 3 months after their wedding. He had apologized. Said he was drunk, but he had done it again. And again. He'll apologize. Then buy gifts. She couldn't leave because he was a CEO with a good image. Outside, she was the trophy wife, but at home he beat her. Then the food poisoning only she got. The accusation of trapping him with pregnancy. Then the sudden change and suggesting marriage counseling. Him suggesting date nights. She accepted, hoping he'd change. Yesterday was the first date, and he had tried to kill her. It wasn't an accident, he planned everything. He laughed when I was in the water. I looked up, and he was standing at the railing watching me. And he laughed. Her chest rose unevenly. And waved at me. The detective wrote for a few seconds, then looked up. We are working on getting the CCTV footage from the camera on the bridge. We are hoping it will capture your husband's face and what really happened. He paused briefly, then added, Your husband reported you missing earlier this morning. Lily's fingers stilled. He said you never came home, the detective continued. That he became concerned when he couldn't reach you. A hollow sound escaped her throat. Of course he was concerned. Of course he had a story ready. Her gaze dropped to the sheets. If the footage confirms your statement, he said calmly, we will proceed with an arrest. Lily's lips parted slightly. He'll deny it. He'll say I'm lying, she continued, her voice trembling now. That I'm mentally unstable, that it's the pregnancy hormones. He'll say I imagined it. Her fingers began to shake against the sheets. He always does that. He twists things. Makes it sound like I'm the problem. Her eyes dropped. For months, he's been treating me like I don't exist. Like I'm invisible. Her voice cracked. I thought maybe the baby would change things. When he suggested the dinner. I thought he wanted things to work out between us. I thought he was finally trying. But he was just a monster. I might be able to help with that, Michael said. Both Lily and the detective turned toward him. His expression was calm, but his eyes were sharp. Michael Vance and Adrian were best friends and business partners. 15 years ago, Adrian forged signatures, embezzled funds, and framed Michael. Michael lost everything. 5 years in prison. By the time he got out, Adrian had taken it all, his reputation, his company, his life. Michael rebuilt, but he never forgave. And now, Adrian had tried to kill his own wife and unborn child. Michael had been watching him for months. Waiting, digging, looking for something, anything, to bring him down. Last night, he followed him. But Adrian was already gone when he arrived. Michael had been searching for traces when he saw movement in the water. Someone fighting, drowning. They pulled her out. He recognized her immediately. Michael and his men had rescued her and rushed her to the hospital. And he stayed. All through the night. Michael's thoughts were anything but calm. Adrian didn't make mistakes. He doesn't act without control. Doesn't leave witnesses. And yet, he had left her in that river.
Tutti.
Adrian had crossed a line he couldn't erase. And this time, Michael wouldn't let him get away with it. Not again. I followed Adrian that night, Michael said. The detective's attention sharpened instantly. Why? Because I don't trust him, Michael replied. I've been gathering intel on him. There are things he's involved in, fraud, embezzlement. I'm still digging. Lily's fingers tightened. He was already gone when I got there, Michael continued. But I saw her in the water. She was drowning. I called emergency services immediately. Then my men helped pull her out. The detective nodded slowly, taking it in. You're willing to testify to this?
Yes.
I'll testify. Across the bed, Lily's fingers curled tighter into the sheets. He'll still deny it, she whispered. Her voice smaller. He'll make it sound convincing. He'll say I'm unstable, that I imagined everything. Her gaze dropped to her stomach. That I'm mentally unstable. And people will believe him. He's rich. He's well connected. How influential a family is connected. Let him try. Michael's voice was calm, firm. He won't get away with it this time.
Michael said.
Once we get the footage, he won't be able to deny it.
Detective Steve said.
This won't be easy, but I want you to know you are safe here at the hospital. The security is strict. Adrian can't get past them. She nodded, though the words felt empty. Thank you, Detective. Dr. Ally was beside her all through, checking on her as she answered. You need rest, Mrs. Cole. Your blood pressure is still high. Stress could trigger early labor. Thank you, doctor. Lily said, her eyes drifted to Michael Vance. He was still there, watching. Why did you save me? You're Adrian Cole's former business partner. I'm your enemy's wife. You could have left me there to die and not get involved in something as complicated as this.
But
Michael held her gaze. I did it because you needed help. Anyone would have done that. Maybe. But you risked your life for me. For us. You checked, you didn't ignore it. Your husband pushed you there to die. But you fought to stay alive. To keep your baby despite how cold it was. You were in the big, scary water for long. Yet you didn't die. Adrian took everything from me 10 years ago. He stole 5 years of my life. I can't watch him take everything from you again. He'll hire the best attorneys. Pay good money to make me irrelevant. Evelyn, his mother, would never let her son go to prison. She always supports him. And I'll be here to offer every support you might need. I have the resources. Your lawyer will be here soon. I already briefed him on the phone. You can tell him more when he arrives. A woman rushed into the hospital room. Gold hair, tears streaming down her face. Lily, Rose Black. Lily's best friend since college. The only person Adrian was unable to remove from her life. Others are long gone. Rose hugged Lily, sobbing into her shoulder. I came as soon as I heard. It's all over the news. What is? Michael turned his phone toward her. Adrian's face filled the screen.
Calm.
Controlled. He wore a black shirt and trousers. Something to make him look pitiful. Adrian had found out she's alive. He had gone on national television even before he was arrested. He's going to twist the truth and make her look like the bad one. I found out my wife cheated on me. The baby she's carrying isn't mine. Lily's hand trembled. How dare he deny his son to get away? How dare he make her a cheater? Were his men already here? Was he doing this to save himself? No, she shook her head. I've never cheated on him. Never seen any man even before our marriage. He wants me to look like a betrayal. He's protecting his public image. She's been emotionally unstable. I tried to support her, but her depression led her to attempt suicide. Rose looked at her. Did you sleep? Rose was about to ask.
No.
I've never been with anyone. Her voice was hoarse. Not before him, not after. Just him. That's just who he is. Michael's voice was cold. He always controls the narration. Manipulating people. Manipulating things to suit his narrative, but all this will be over when they get the footage. Yes, the footage. But even as she said it, her voice came out smaller than she intended, because she knew Adrian. She knew what he was doing. He wasn't running. He wasn't hiding. He had gone on national television and looked straight into a camera and lied with the same calm face he used when he apologized after hitting her. The same face he used when he suggested the date night. The same face he had worn across the candlelit table just last night. He had known she was alive. And his first move was not fear. It was attack.
He's already winning, she thought.
And I'm lying in a hospital bed. Michael stepped out to receive a call. Rose squeezed her hand hard. Don't. Her voice was firm. Don't do that. Don't let him get into your head while you're lying here. He's on national television, Rose. And you're alive. Rose's eyes were red, but her voice didn't waver. You were supposed to be dead, and you're not. That already destroyed his plan. Lily looked at her. This was why Adrian had never been able to remove Rose from her life. He had tried everything. Subtle comments about how Rose was a bad influence. Manufactured arguments. Weekends away timed perfectly to conflict with plans they had made. But Rose had never taken the bait. Had just kept showing up. Quietly. Consistently. Like she knew exactly what he was doing and had decided it simply wasn't going to work. 6 years of Adrian trying to isolate her, and Rose was still here, still holding her hand. He said the baby isn't his, Lily whispered. Something moved across Rose's face.
Rage.
Fast and hot. She pressed her lips together and said nothing for a moment. I know, she said finally. And every person who knows you knows that is a lie. But the people who don't know me will see the footage. Michael's voice cut across the room. Both women looked at him.
He was leaning forward now,
Elbows on his knees.
phone still in his hand.
Adrian went on television because he knows the footage exists, Michael said. He is trying to get ahead of it. Build his version of events before the police release anything. He paused. That is not the move of an innocent man. That is the move of someone who knows exactly what that camera captured. The room was quiet. They've gotten the footage. Detective Steve said he'll be arrested soon. The room fell silent. Lily didn't feel relieved. He'll have the best lawyers, she said. His mother will make sure of that. Evelyn Cole does not let her son lose. Neither do I, Michael said simply. Adrian took 5 years of my life, he said quietly. He forged my signature, stole my company, made sure I went to prison while he walked free, and built an empire on what he stole from me. He turned. I spent 10 years rebuilding. I spent the last several months watching him, waiting for the right moment. He handed me that moment when he pushed you off that bridge. Lily held his gaze. There was something almost frightening about how calm he was. Not cold, not cruel, just certain. Like a man who had been waiting a very long time and had stopped being impatient about it. My lawyer is already on his way, Michael said. He is one of the best in the country. I want him representing you. Lily shook her head slowly. I can't afford. I'm not asking you to pay for it. Adrian tried to kill you. He tried to kill your child. And right now he is on national television calling you a liar and an adulteress. He paused. Let me help you fight back. The door opened.
Dr. Ally.
Her face was concerned. I'm going to ask you to leave. She needs to rest. Michael placed a phone beside her. My number and Detective Steve's number are saved on this phone.
Call if there's anything.
I assure you that you're safe here. They went out, leaving Lily alone in the room. The door closed behind them. Lily lay still. The room was quiet now. Just the beeping and soft hum of the machines. Just the cold fluid still moving slowly through the drip line into her hand. 18 hours ago, she had been at the bottom of a river. She should be dead. Adrian had planned it that way. The dinner.
The dress.
The bridge. The freezing water in January. A wife who couldn't swim and a husband who had made sure no one would look for her until morning. She pressed both hands flat against her belly. Her son moved. Slow and small. I know, Lily thought.
I know.
We made it. But making it was not the same as being safe. Adrian was out there right now. On television. Calm and controlled, and already building the story that would bury her. Calling her unstable. Calling her unfaithful. Denying his own child on national television without blinking. 6 years. 6 years she had stayed. Had endured. Had told herself he would change. Had believed the apologies and the gifts and the marriage counseling suggestion and the date night that turned out to be the night he tried to kill her. She had loved him once. Or she had loved the version of him she thought existed. That man was never real. A tear ran down her temple into the pillow. Fight, she told herself. You fought in that river.
You can fight this.
Her son kicked.
Once.
Hard. Like she agreed.
She didn't know how long she slept.
She woke up to a sharp, controlling voice. I'm here to see my daughter-in-law. Move out of my way. Evelyn Cole? Lily's heart skipped. The door swung open. Evelyn Cole walked in like she owned the building.
She stopped at the foot of the bed.
Looked at Lily the way she had always looked at her. I am going to say this once, Evelyn said. So, I need you to listen carefully. Lily's hand moved to her belly. You're going to speak to the media. You will tell them it was an accident. That you slipped. That my son tried to save you and couldn't reach you in time. You are going to say that the stress of the pregnancy caused you to confuse what happened.
She paused.
And then this will all go away. Lily said nothing. You have been nothing but a leech in my son's life from the day he married you. You have no family, no money,
No connections.
nothing. He gave you everything. His home, his name, his reputation. And this is what you do with it. Adrian pushed me off a bridge, Lily said. Her voice was quiet, but it didn't shake. Evelyn's eyes narrowed. You were unstable. You have always been unstable. And we have records to prove it. She reached into her bag, pulled out a folded document, placed it on the bed beside Lily's hand. You've seen a therapist on 3 separate occasions in the past 2 years. We have a therapist who will testify that you suffered from severe depression. A doctor who will confirm episodes of erratic behavior. A neighbor who saw you screaming in the street 6 months ago. Lily looked at the document. She remembered the therapist. Adrian had suggested it. Said he was worried about her. Sat beside her in the first session holding her hand. She had thought he was being caring. He had been building a file. If you pursue this, Evelyn said, we will make sure the world sees every single page of that file. We will make sure every person on that jury knows exactly what kind of woman you are. Unstable, reckless, a danger to herself and her child. Her voice dropped. And we will petition the court to remove that baby from your care the moment it is born. We have lawyers. We have the resources. And we have the connections. Lily's fingers curled slowly around the edge of the bed sheet. You will be left with nothing, Evelyn continued. No money, no home, no child, no future. My son will walk free, and you will have nothing to show for any of this except the shame of having tried. She leaned slightly closer. Is that what you want? Because you can end all of this right now. One statement, one phone call, and I will make sure you are taken care of. Financially, the baby will want for nothing. Lily looked at this woman who had watched her son hit her and said nothing, who had sat across dinner tables for 6 years and looked through her, who had called her too sensitive and too emotional and not right for Adrian, who had always known exactly who her son was and had spent her entire life making sure he never faced a consequence for it. He waved at me, Lily said quietly. Evelyn blinked. When I was in the water, when I was drowning, he stood at that railing and he waved at me. Lily looked at her steadily. Your son waved at me while I was trying not to die, while your grandchild was fighting to survive inside me in freezing water, and you are standing here asking me to protect him. Something moved across Evelyn's face. Fast. Gone before it fully formed. You have no idea what you are walking into. We will destroy you. I promise you that. By the time our lawyers are finished, there will not be a single person in this country who believes a word you say. You will lose everything. And you will raise that child in poverty with a reputation that follows you everywhere you go. Get out. The voice came from the doorway. Evelyn turned. Detective Steve stood in the door. Michael was directly behind him. Detective Steve walked in slowly, deliberately. Mrs. Cole. He looked at Evelyn. Not Lily. I'm going to need you to step away from that bed. Evelyn straightened. I am her family. I have every right. You are the mother of a man who was arrested 2 hours ago for attempted murder, Detective Steve said. And you are currently in a hospital room attempting to intimidate and threaten the victim and survivor. He stopped a few feet from her. I would choose my next words carefully if I were you. Evelyn's jaw tightened. My son did not. He was arrested after we got the footage. Detective Steve's voice was flat. Certain. Your son pushed his 7-month pregnant wife over a railing and watched her fall. Then he walked back to his car. He tilted his head slightly. That footage will be presented in court. There is no version of those events that helps Adrian Cole. The color did not leave Evelyn's face. This is why you're here, Detective Steve continued. Not because you believe your son is innocent. You know exactly what he is. You have always known. He stepped to the side and gestured toward the door. Adrian's lawyers will be in contact with the prosecution. In the meantime, you are not permitted to have any contact with this patient. If you return to this hospital, you will be removed and potentially charged with witness intimidation. Evelyn picked up her bag, looked at Lily one last time. You have made a very serious mistake, Evelyn said quietly. No, Michael said from the doorway. Adrian made the biggest mistake of his life 2 nights ago. Evelyn walked out. Lily let out a long, slow breath. The room was quiet for a moment. Then Lily let out a breath she felt like she had been holding since she woke up. She came because she's scared, Detective Steve said. He pulled the chair close to the bed and sat down. Adrian's team knows what the footage shows. They have seen it. Right now his lawyers are trying to find any angle that works, and there isn't one. He looked at Lily steadily. So, she came here hoping to frighten you into changing your statement. That is what desperation looks like when it has money.
The file she had, Lily said.
The therapist. The records. We know about them, Michael said. He had moved into the room now. Standing near the window. I had people looking into Adrian's activities for months. That file was built deliberately. The therapist was paid. Our lawyers have already flagged it. We also executed a search of your home this morning, Detective Steve went on. We found documents, financial records. Your husband is carrying approximately $50 million in personal debt. He's been running from creditors for over a year. Several of those creditors have been applying serious pressure, but he's been working hard to cover up. Lily stared at him. 3 months ago, he registered a life insurance policy in your name. The payout on your death would have been $3 million. The words landed one by one. $3 million. That was what her life was worth to him. That was what her baby's life was worth to him. $3 million and a clean escape from $50 million in debt. He'll be charged with attempted murder. 2 counts. 1 for you. 1 for your baby. He paused. There is more. Mr. Vance has submitted a formal statement to our financial crimes unit. There is evidence of fraud, embezzlement, forgery going back 15 years. He looked at her steadily. Adrian Cole is not just facing attempted murder charges, Mrs. Cole. He is facing the full weight of everything he has done. All of it, at once. Lily looked down at her hands. She thought about the night he first hit her, the way he had cried afterward. The flowers he sent. The card that said you are my whole world. She had believed him. She had believed every single word. She thought about every year after that. Every slap. Every cold silence. Every month of feeling invisible in her own home. Every time she had told herself it wasn't that bad. And she thought about the bridge. His hand warm in hers. His soft voice suggesting the walk. The moment she had stood at that railing and thought maybe things are finally changing. Mrs. Cole. She looked up. Detective Steve's expression had shifted. Less formal now. Just a man looking at a woman who had survived something she should not have survived. Adrian thought you were dead. He went on television because he found out you were alive and he panicked. Everything he said this morning, the affair, the depression, the suicide attempt, all of it was panic. He paused. Guilty people talk too much. He talked too much. Lily was quiet for a moment. What happens now? She asked. His mother will try everything. She will get him out. He will appear in court. His lawyers will try to build a defense again. It will not be easy with the footage. The detective stood. I want you to focus on your health. On your baby. We have what we need. And our lawyers are very capable. Lily looked at the document Evelyn had left on her bed. Then she picked it up and held it out to the detective. He took it. Thank you, he said. This actually helps us because Evelyn just handed us evidence of witness tampering. She felt a pain in her stomach. Lily let out a sound. Before Lily could respond, the door opened again. Dr. Ally walked in. Her face was focused in the way Lily bent. What going on? I think the baby. Dr. Ally looked at the monitor. Your blood pressure is dangerously high. This is why we tell patients to avoid stress. Whatever happened in this room sent your body into crisis. She pressed 2 fingers to her wrist. Checked the monitor. Her eyes moved fast across the numbers. Another contraction hit. Harder than the first. Lily gripped the bed rail and breathed through her teeth. You are 3 weeks early from having the baby. I'm afraid the baby will be affected if it wasn't delivered now. Lily was wheeled into the labor room. Her son was delivered. He was wrapped in a thin hospital cloth and placed in her hands. The sound of his cry was fierce and furious. like he had something to say and had been waiting this whole time to say it. Lily laughed. It came out broken and wet and mixed up with the tears already running down her face, but it was real. The most real sound she had made in days. "Hi," she whispered. She brought him closer, pressed her lips to his forehead. He was warm, so warm. After everything cold she had survived in the past 2 days, the warmth of him felt like something she had been waiting for her whole life. She looked at his face. This face. This small, stubborn, perfect face that had kicked her in a freezing river when she wanted to give up. That had fought to be here when everything was working against him. That had survived things no baby should ever have to survive before taking a single breath of air. "You are so brave," she whispered. "You have no idea how brave you are." A nurse leaned close. "Do you have a name for him?" Lily looked at her son. She thought about the river. The cold and the dark and the current pulling her under. She thought about the moment she had almost let go. The moment the darkness felt softer than the fight. And then she thought about the kick. That one hard, certain kick that had said, "No, not yet. Fight." He had saved her life before he even had one. "Ethan," she said softly. She looked at his face when she said it, like she was giving it directly to him. "Ethan Cole." She paused, then shook her head slightly. "But not for long. I will change his name to mine, to the name of the only family he has." She looked at the nurse. "Ethan James. My son's name is Ethan James. He is beautiful," she said quietly, "and he is strong. But we need to take him now. His lungs need support, and his temperature needs monitoring." She looked at Lily steadily. "You will see him again very soon. I promise you that." Lily looked at her son one last time. She memorized his face, his scrunched eyes, his tiny curled fists, the way he had gone quiet when she held him, like he recognized her voice, like he already knew who she was. She kissed his forehead one more time. Then she let them take him. And she lay back against the pillow and closed her eyes and felt the tears run down her temples into her hair and did not try to stop them. He was here. He was alive. His name was Ethan James. And nothing his father did had been able to stop that. Rose, Michael, Dr. Ally, and Detective Steve all stood by Lily's side. Rose and Michael take turns staying with her. Detective Steve called regularly to fed her back about the case and new discoveries. Dr. Ally took time tending to her at the hospital along with Ethan. 2 days after Lily delivered, Adrian appeared in court for the first time. He looked devastated, like a sad man, the confused victim. His mother and some staff were all seated. They all testified about how good he was. Some testified against Lily. His lawyers worked hard, coming hard on Lily's lawyers. Eventually, he was granted bail of $6 million. His mother paid. Lily was discharged 3 days after delivery, but she insists she won't leave the hospital without her son. "You can move into one of my houses for the meantime," Michael said as he sat on the chair. "You can stay there till you get a job and get an apartment of your own. I know this is hard on you, but it is not charity." Lily looked at him again. "Why are you helping me? Adrian is locked up. You get your revenge against him. But you're still here with me, taking responsibilities you're not supposed to take. I'm just here because I care about you. And I want you to know that Adrian can't do anything for you. I know you're scared he'll come, but he won't want to risk it because of his case." "Thank you, Michael. But I'd love to stay with my son. We can go home together when he's fine." Lily had no money. Evelyn made sure she never got anything from her son. But Michael offered her a house in one of his houses. The security was right. Rose and Detective Steve helped her pack her things from Adrian's house. Evelyn tried to stop them, but with Detective Steve around, she was forced to keep quiet and watch. Lily stayed by Ethan's side until he was discharged 3 weeks later. Michael and Rose were there with her. Lily carried her son in her arms as Michael drove her home. It was the first time she'll going home. When they get there, it was a 2-bedroom apartment. One room was used for Ethan's nursery. It was beautifully decorated. Lily stood in the doorway and could not move. White walls. A small crib with soft gray bedding. A mobile hanging above it with tiny stars. A changing table. A small wardrobe already stocked with baby clothes in neutral colors. A rocking chair in the corner by the window. Everything Ethan would need. She had left Adrian's house with almost nothing. And here was this. She turned to look at Michael. He was watching her from the hallway, hands in his pockets, saying nothing. Lily looked back at the room. Her throat was too tight for words. She had left Adrian's house with almost nothing. A bag of clothes Rose and Detective Steve had managed to retrieve while Evelyn stood in the hallway watching with cold, furious eyes. No money. No access to any account. 6 years of her life in that marriage, and she had walked out with a hospital bag and a 3-week-old baby. And here's a nursery. Michael. You don't have to say anything. She looked at him. I don't know how to accept this, she said honestly.
You don't have to know how, he said.
You just have to walk through the door. She looked at her son in her arms. Ethan James. Eyes closed. Breathing slow and steady. 3 weeks in an incubator and now here, in a home that felt safer than anywhere she had lived in 6 years. So she just nodded once. And he nodded back.
And that was enough.
3 days after Lily moved into her apartment, Adrian released a video he made. Adrian stood outside his building in a charcoal gray suit. Hair perfect, expression carefully arranged into something between grief and dignity. Evelyn stood beside him, the picture of a devoted mother standing by her wrongly accused son. He spoke for 11 minutes. He talked about his love for Lily, about how her pregnancy had been difficult and emotional, about how he had tried everything to support her, marriage counseling, date nights, extra help at home. He talked about the night at the bridge with his voice breaking at exactly the right moments. Said he had reached for her when she climbed the railing. Said he had screamed her name as she fell. Said he had called for help immediately and spent the entire night searching for her. He cried twice. Both times looked completely real. Then a woman appeared beside him at the microphone.
Tall, polished,
dark hair. A face Lily recognized from the photographs she had found on Adrian's phone 2 years ago and chosen to believe was nothing. Vanessa Holt, his mistress. She spoke for 4 minutes. Said she had known Adrian for 3 years. Said she had watched him suffer through a difficult marriage. Said Lily had been emotionally unstable for as long as she had known Adrian. Said she feared for his safety on multiple occasions because of Lily's erratic behavior. Said she stood by him completely. Lily sat very still through all of it, watching Adrian tell lies about her to the world, turning the narrative to what he wanted. The media coverage that followed was exactly what Adrian had intended. Half the headlines called it a tragic accident. Half the comments called Lily a bitter, unstable wife trying to destroy a successful man. The word hormonal appeared so many times, Lily stopped counting. She received messages from different numbers she didn't recognize. Drop the case or you'll regret it. We know where you are. You won't win. He has too many people supporting him. She showed them to Detective Steve when he came by that evening. He photographed everyone. This is good, he said. Every threat they send is another charge. They are panicking, Mrs. Cole. Panicking people make mistakes. I don't feel like they're panicking, she said. I feel like they're winning. Not yet, he said. Just wait and see what will happen. 2 weeks later, Detective Steve came to the apartment with a folder. He sat at the kitchen table across from Lily.
Rose was in the nursery with Ethan.
Michael was standing by the window with his coffee, the way he always stood when he was listening carefully but didn't want to make it obvious. We found something interesting, Detective Steve said. He opened the folder. Adrian Cole was married twice before you. Lily looked at him.
Twice.
His first wife was a woman named Clara Mensa. Married 8 years before you. She died 18 months into the marriage. It was ruled as accidental drowning. The room was very quiet. His second wife was a woman named Ruth Smith. Married 5 years before you. She died 2 years into the marriage. Ruled an accident. She fell from a hotel balcony during what Adrian described as an episode of emotional instability. He looked at Lily steadily. He collected life insurance on both of them. Lily sat with that information for a long moment. Clara Mensa couldn't swim. Just like her. She thought about the dinner. The blue dress. The bridge over deep water in January. He hadn't chosen those things for her specifically. He had a type. He had a method. He had done this before and learned from it and refined it and come back and done it again. She had not been his wife. She had been his third attempt.
He's a serial killer, Lily said.
Her voice was completely flat. That is what the prosecution will argue, Detective Steve said. The pattern is undeniable. Same profile, same method, same financial motive. Both previous deaths are being reinvestigated. He closed the folder. This changes everything about the trial. This is no longer just about the bridge. This is about who Adrian Cole is, what he does, and how long he has been doing it.
Michael set his coffee down.
He chose you because you fit the profile, he said quietly. Isolated. No strong family connections. Someone who could be controlled.
He paused.
He didn't count on you surviving. Lily received a custody petition letter the following Tuesday through a courier. Adrian Cole petitioning for full custody of Ethan on the grounds that the mother was mentally unstable, had a history of erratic behavior, and had placed the child in danger by her own actions. Lily read it once. Then she put it face down on the kitchen table and went to the nursery and stood over Ethan's crib for a long time. He was asleep, arms thrown wide, face completely relaxed, 6 weeks old, and already sleeping like the world was entirely safe. She had promised him it would be. He won't get him, Michael said from the doorway. How can you be sure? She asked without turning around. Because a man charged with attempting to murder the child's mother has no grounds for custody. His lawyer is filing this to frighten you, to drain your energy, to make you feel like you're fighting on 2 fronts instead of one. He paused. Our lawyer has already prepared the response. It will be dismissed. And if it isn't? Michael was quiet for a moment. Then we fight that too. He was right. The petition was dismissed within the week. The judge's response was brief and pointed. A man facing attempted murder charges on 2 counts, including one for the child in question, was not a viable candidate for custody proceedings. But the damage was done in a different way. Lily stopped sleeping properly after that. She would lie in the dark listening to Ethan breathe through the baby monitor and feel the fear moving through her chest like cold water. Adrian was out on bail. He knew where she was or could find out. He had done it to 2 women before her and walked away from both. She started checking the locks 3 times before bed. Started flinching at sounds in the corridor. Started sitting with her back to walls so she could see every door. Michael noticed any time he was around. You need to talk to someone, he said one evening. A professional. Someone who understands what you've been through.
Ivy Fine.
Michael looked at her for a long moment. Then he looked at Ethan and his bouncer on the floor between them. He needs you whole, he said quietly. Not just alive. Whole. Lily looked at her son.
She didn't say anything.
But the next morning she asked Dr. Ally for a referral. The trial began on a Monday morning 3 months after the bridge. Lily wore a dark blue dress. Simple.
Clean.
Rose had picked it. Said it made her look exactly what she was. A woman telling the truth who had nothing to hide. She sat in the courtroom and watched Adrian walk in. He wore a suit. Navy. Well fitted. His hair was neat. His expression was composed. He looked like a CEO attending a board meeting he found mildly inconvenient. He found her eyes across the room. She looked back. She did not flinch, did not look away, did not give him the satisfaction of seeing anything in her face except steadiness. He looked away first. The prosecution was thorough and precise. The CCTV footage was played on the second day. The courtroom watched in complete silence as Adrian walked Lily to the railing, looked around, placed both hands on her back, and pushed her over. Watched him stand there afterward. Watched him straighten his jacket. Watched him walk away. No one in the room spoke for several seconds after it ended. Adrian's lawyers tried. They questioned the footage's integrity. They questioned Michael's motives. They presented the mental health file Evelyn had compiled. They brought in the therapist Adrian had paid, who crumbled under cross-examination and admitted he had never treated Lily professionally. They brought Vanessa Holt to the stand. She testified for minutes about Lily's instability. The prosecution spent 20 minutes dismantling every word she said using phone records that showed Vanessa and Adrian had been in contact the night of the bridge. Then they brought forward the evidence about Clara Mensah and Ruth Smith. The courtroom changed when those names were read aloud. 2 women, 2 accidents, 2 life insurance payouts. The same profile, the same method. A pattern so clear and deliberate that Adrian's lead lawyer visibly tensed when the financial records were displayed. Michael testified on the 4th day.
Calm. Precise.
Answered every question directly. When Adrian's lawyer tried to argue personal vendetta, Michael looked at him steadily and said, "I followed Adrian Cole because I believed he was dangerous. The footage proves I was right. My personal history with him has no bearing on what that camera recorded." When it was Lily's turn, she walked to the stand,
Sat down.
looked at the jury. 12 people who had never met her, who had heard 5 days of testimony and counter-testimony and evidence and argument, who would decide everything. She told them everything. She started from the first year of the marriage, when she had thought she was the luckiest woman alive. Then the slow change. The first time he hit her and cried afterward. The isolation. The financial control. The food poisoning she had accepted as bad takeout. The years of telling herself it wasn't that bad. Then the dinner. The blue dress. His hand warm in hers on the bridge. The push. The water. Her baby kicking in a freezing river when she wanted to give up. She spoke her truth. Simply. Directly. In plain language with no performance and no drama. Just the truth laid out clearly for 12 people to hear. When she finished, the courtroom was completely silent. The jury deliberated for 1 day. Detective Steve's name appeared on her phone screen in the evening. "Guilty," he said. "All counts. Attempted murder, 2 counts.
Fraud.
Financial crimes." The judge is considering the prior deaths in sentencing. Lily sat very still. "Mrs. Cole." "Yes," she said. "I'm here." "It's over," Detective Steve said. "He's going to prison for a very long time." She hung up. Rose hugged Lily. Lily looked out the windshield. 8 months since the bridge. 8 months of threats and court dates and custody petitions and media attacks and sleepless nights and panic and the chronic cough she now carried in her chest from the river water that had damaged her lungs. 8 months. And it was over. She didn't feel the relief she had expected. It wasn't a wave or a rush or a release.
It was quieter than that.
Something settling. Something that had been braced for impact for so long finally being told it could stand down. "Hey." Michael's voice. Quiet. Beside her. She turned and looked at him. "You did that," he said. "Everything that happened in there. That was you." She looked at him for a long moment. Then she nodded once. And let herself believe it. The sentencing was 3 weeks later. 25 years without parole. The judge cited the pattern of behavior. The 2 previous wives. The deliberate planning. The targeting of vulnerable women for financial gain. Evelyn Cole stood outside the courthouse afterward and told the cameras her son had been failed by the justice system.
Her voice was steady.
Her expression was composed. She looked directly into the lens and said she would appeal every day for the rest of her life if necessary. Lily watched it on her phone from the apartment. She turned the screen off and put it face down on the counter. And then the quiet came. She had expected to feel better after the verdict. After the sentencing. After it was all finally, officially, legally finished. She had expected the fear to lift and the anxiety to ease and something like peace to arrive. Instead, she felt empty. The nightmares came most nights. Always the river. Always the cold. Always the moment she lost her grip and the current took her. She would wake up gasping, heart slamming, hands already reaching for her belly before she remembered Ethan was in the next room and she was safe and it was over. She started canceling plans. Stopped returning calls. Rose would come over and find her sitting in the same position she had left her in 2 hours before. Not crying. Not talking. Just sitting. She pushed Rose away first. Told her she was fine. Told her she needed space to process. Rose pushed back, but respected the boundary even when it worried her. Then she pushed Michael. He had been coming by every day. Small things. Groceries, he said, he had bought too much of. A part for the kitchen tap that had been dripping. Sitting on the floor of the nursery talking to Ethan in a low voice while Ethan stared at him with those serious dark eyes. One evening she told him he didn't need to keep coming. "I'm okay," she said. "Ethan and I are okay. You've done enough." Michael looked at her. "I know you're okay," he said. "Then you know you don't need to keep checking." He was quiet for a moment. "I come because I want to," he said. "Not because you need me to." "I'll give you space," he said. "But I'm not disappearing." She stood at the closed door for a long time after. She knew what she was doing. She had done it with Rose. She was doing it with Michael. Pushing away the people who stayed because some part of her, the part that had spent 6 years learning that love was a trap, could not yet believe that people stayed without wanting something in return. Her therapist had a name for it. Lily had a different name for it. She called it surviving. Michael gave her the space she asked for. 2 weeks passed. He didn't come by. He sent messages every day. Things about Ethan mostly. Then he'll ask if she was really fine. She thought about texting back. She didn't. Then Ethan got a cold. Nothing serious. A slight temperature and a blocked nose that made him snuffle in the night. Lily sat up with him for 2 nights running, rocking him in the chair by the window, watching his face for signs of anything worse, running through every terrifying possibility her exhausted mind could generate. On the 3rd night at 2 in the morning, she sent Michael a message. "Ethan has a cold. He's okay. I didn't want to call Rose again. She has work." His reply came in under a minute. "I'm coming." She started to type, "You don't have to," and then stopped. She put the phone down. And 20 minutes later she heard Michael open the door with the spare key. He came in quietly, didn't turn on the main light, found her in the nursery in the rocking chair with Ethan against her chest, and sat down on the floor beside the chair without a word. They sat like that for a long time. Ethan's breathing evened out. His small body got heavier against her as he fell into proper sleep. "I pushed you away," she said quietly. "I know," Michael said. "It wasn't about you. I know that too." She looked at him in the low light. This man who had been watching her husband in the dark on the night she almost died, who had pulled her from a river and sat beside her bed for 18 hours and built her son a nursery and showed up every time and asked for nothing. "I don't know how to trust yet," she said. "I want to, but I don't know how." "That's okay," he said. "I'm not going anywhere." "You keep saying that, because it keeps being true." She looked at Ethan's face against her shoulder. "He likes you," she said softly. "I also like him," Michael said. A small silence. "I like his mother too," he said. Quietly, not pushing, just placing it there for her to do whatever she wanted with. She didn't say anything, but she didn't push him away either. And that night, she let him stay until morning. Lily went back to her therapist consistently.
Stopped canceling.
Started actually talking instead of sitting with her arms crossed saying she was managing. Learned the language for what Adrian had done to her: coercive control, financial abuse, psychological manipulation, gaslighting, and found that naming things made them smaller somehow. Less like something wrong with her, and more like something that had been done to her. The cough from the river water stayed. The doctors called it chronic respiratory damage. She carried an inhaler. She got tired in cold weather. She would probably always feel the river in her lungs on certain days. She decided that was all right. She had earned that cough. She had survived what caused it. Ethan grew, started holding his own head up, started following her face with his eyes across the room, started making sounds that weren't crying, small explorative sounds like he was trying out his voice and finding it interesting. He looked like her. Lily had looked at him every day searching for Adrian's face and finding mostly herself, and she was grateful for that every single time. 8 months after the sentencing, she was invited to speak at a domestic abuse awareness event. A small thing, 20 people in a community center on a Tuesday evening. She almost said no. Then she thought about Clara Mensah and Ruth Smith, 2 women who had been exactly where she had been and had not made it to the other side. She said yes. She stood at the front of that small room and spoke for 15 minutes. Simply, in plain language, about the isolation, about the financial control, about believing the apologies. About 6 years of telling herself it wasn't that bad. About a bridge in January. About a baby kicking in freezing water. About a man she had never met who had been watching her husband in the dark and had saved both their lives because he had been in the right place at the right time. When she finished, a woman in the third row was crying. She came up afterward and grabbed Lily's hand with both of hers and couldn't speak for a moment. Then she said, "I thought I was the only one who believed the apologies." Lily thought about that on the drive home. She thought about it for days afterward. Then she started writing. Everything. All of it. In plain, simple language. What it looked like from the inside. How it started.
How it progressed.
How you could live inside something for years and not see its shape until you were finally outside it looking back. She didn't know yet what she would do with what she was writing. But she wrote every day. And slowly the hollowed-out feeling began to fill with something else. Something that felt, cautiously and carefully, like purpose. 2 years after the bridge, Ethan was walking, unsteadily and with enormous commitment, pulling himself up on every available surface and launching himself across the room toward whatever had caught his attention. He had 4 words.
Mama. More. No.
And the 4th one, which had arrived 3 weeks ago and which he used constantly and with great satisfaction, was Michael. Lily was sitting on the floor of the living room watching him navigate his way toward the coffee table when Michael let himself in with his key. Ethan heard the door and turned. "Michael," he said, loud and certain. Then he sat down hard on the floor because turning and walking at the same time was still beyond him. Lily laughed. Michael crouched down and let Ethan grab his fingers and pull himself back up. "Good morning," he said to Lily over Ethan's head.
Good morning, she said.
These mornings had become ordinary. That was the thing she noticed most. 2 years ago, ordinary had meant walking on eggshells and watching Adrian's face when he came home to know what kind of night it would be. Now, ordinary meant this. The 3 of them in a bright apartment on a Saturday morning. Ethan walking into things. Coffee getting cold on the counter because nobody remembered to drink it. Safe.
Quiet. Real.
She was working now. Part-time at first and then full-time. Writing and speaking about domestic abuse. She had an audience online she had not expected. Thousands of women who recognized themselves in her story. Who wrote to her saying, "I thought I was the only one the same way that women in the community center had." She answered every message personally. It took hours. But she didn't stop. One evening in early spring, Michael stayed late after Ethan was in bed. They were sitting on the sofa with the television on low, and neither of them was watching when he turned to look at her. "I want to tell you something. And I don't need you to respond right now. Or ever if you don't want to." She turned to look at him. "The day I pulled you out of that river," he said, "I told myself I was doing it because anyone would have. Because it was the right thing. Because it had nothing to do with Adrian or the past or anything except a person who needed help." He paused. "That was true," he said. "But it's not the whole truth anymore." She waited. "I stay because of you. Not because of what Adrian did. Not because of Ethan, although Ethan is," he stopped. Smiled slightly. "Ethan is extraordinary. But I stay because of you. Because of who you are. Because of what you survived and what you built afterward and who you choose to be every day."
He paused.
"I'm not asking for anything. I just needed you to know." Lily looked at him for a long moment. She thought about the first time she had seen his face. Blurry white hospital light. The drip in her hand. A stranger in the corner of her room who had been there for 18 hours. Asking for nothing. He had never asked for anything. In 2 years he had never once made her feel like she owed him something. Never once used what he had done for leverage. Never once made her feel like the help came with conditions. She had spent 6 years with a man who made everything feel like a transaction. And 2 years with this man who just kept showing up. She reached over and took his hand. He looked down at their hands. Then at her face. "I don't know how to do this yet," she said. "I'm still learning what safe feels like." "I know," he said. "But I want to try. With you. I want to try." Michael looked at her for a moment. Then he turned his hand over and held hers properly. "That's enough," he said. "That's more than enough." Outside the window the city moved through its evening. ordinary and indifferent and completely unaware that in an apartment on the fourth floor a woman who had survived a river and a marriage and a trial and everything that came after was sitting on a sofa, holding the hand of the man who had pulled her out of the dark. Not because he had saved her, because she had saved herself. And she had chosen to let him stay. Ethan James was asleep in the next room. His name was his mother's name. And his life, safe and warm and full of a man who got down on the floor and let him grab his fingers, was everything his father had tried to prevent. The river had not won. Adrian Cole had not won. Lily James had. And she was just getting started. Lily and Michael got married a year after they began dating. Michael adopted Ethan as a son. They moved into a bigger apartment. They loved each other through everything that came their way.